Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Love Baxter podcast. I'm Adam Greenbaum, the founder of Love Baxter. My beloved Baxter passed away in October of 2024, and I felt lost. I was an entrepreneur who had an app and platform that worked with over 10,000 veterinary clinics, and yet he was dying, and there was nothing I could do. And when he was gone, I felt hurt, lost, sourceless, if that's a word. So I created lovebaxter.com. So please check it out. Give us feedback. I hope it can help you. And today I have my friend Erika Sinner. She is the CEO of two companies. She is an author. She does literally everything on earth. I don't know how she does it. I ran one company. I was tired and mean all the time. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor to finally get on your podcast.
I know. And here's backstory. Not only have we connected on being founders, being CEOs, but we also connected on our pets being members of the family. Erika came out to LA and literally had lunch with my wife and I and our puppy Cosmo, which God, he's 8 months old now. In fact, he turned 8 months old today. I don't know. It was a couple months ago. He was a small guy.
He was in my lap for the whole lunch. I loved it so much.
But you know what? It's like for a lot of people that may have been weird, and for you it wasn't. We drove an hour from Newport Beach to Los Angeles. We go to meet you for the first time in person, and we're like, hey, we're bringing our puppy. And the only reason we didn't bring our senior dog is it was just hot. I don't know if she would want to do it, but I think for a lot of people that would have been weird if we said, hey, you're going to one of us is going to hold this dog while we eat at this nice restaurant. And for you, it wasn't weird. For us, it wasn't weird. And that's really cool. So I thank you for that. You wrote the book, Pets Are Family. It's as simple as that. And yeah, I mean, for us, our dogs are family. You know, you and I have bonded over a lot, and we've talked a lot about how we see our pets, but maybe just talk about, I mean, we can start at the beginning if you want to talk about Kingston. He was your and your husband's firstborn. So why don't we talk about Kingston and what he inspired and how we got here?
Yeah, and it's so interesting that you said that it might be weird for people for the lunch. You're right. Like when I saw you guys in the hotel, though, I like dropped to the ground. I'm like, let me see this baby. But isn't that dog people, animal lovers, just like they are our family, and they just bring so much joy. And yeah, so for me, Kingston, I mean, my husband and I chose not to have human kids. So our dogs are our kids. And whether you have human kids or not, I think they just become part of your family. They are part of who you are. And Kingston was for sure that for us. We lost Kingston 2 years ago, and he was 8 years old, which is young. And we lost him within a week. He had heart cancer, which was not even detectable even that week leading up to his passing until like the last scan. And like you, I felt hopeless. I felt like we do everything. We go to all the visits, we do the full blood panels, we do all of the things, and we still couldn't save him. Um, and I don't know if it's as a female CEO founder, I felt like, is it okay that I show up vulnerable to work? Is it okay that I'm not okay? And I really tried to say like I'm okay. I'm kind of come to work. I'm doing the things even though I had a pet bereavement policy in place. So I say that to say how hard is it for us to normalize this conversation that of course it's going to hurt when we lose our animals and our family members, but here I owned my own company. I had a policy in place and I still felt a little bit of shame for taking it, that I'm supposed to be strong. I'm supposed to be okay. I'm supposed to be leading. And the truth is I needed it. I wasn't okay to show up at work and be grieving my son. We call him our son, like you. They're our kids. Yeah, I wasn't okay, and I needed that time off. I think that's what inspired for me my book. If I needed the time off and I was ashamed to take the policy, I can't imagine what it would feel like if I was an employee at an organization and I didn't even have a single day or acknowledgement from my employer that I was not doing okay.
Yep. And it's weird too, because, my company was WhiskerCloud and we worked with veterinary clinics. And to be honest, I don't know if I'm legally even allowed to say this in California, but like when we would interview people, we would ask, tell us about your pets. Do you have pets? And if they didn't have pets, I don't think we ever, if you're listening out there, government, like, I don't think we ever didn't hire someone because they didn't have a pet. But I remember thinking like, it'd be really, really hard to work here and work with vets and work on what we do if you don't have a pet, because you wouldn't understand the gravity of what we're trying to do. Everything I wanted to do was like, you're a pet parent, it's 11 p.m. on a Saturday, everything's closed, and you have to find something online. You have to be able to book an appointment online. You have to be able to fill out new client paperwork online. And I just wanted you to be able to do that. So that's why I built WhiskerCloud. We always had the same thing. I had unlimited PTO at every company I ever had, because I always say, like, we hire smart adults, and smart adults will know what to do. If someone takes advantage of this policy, we'll know pretty quickly. And we did have one person in 8 years who took such advantage of it that we said goodbye. And that was it, and everyone did good. And when we did things for people with pets when they passed away, we it was called Pop Your Pup. We would do like art that we had online. It was always really hard. And then, like you, here I am, running the show, and then Baxter died. And at that point, I had sold the company, and I was part of an executive team that was put together by our board. And I took like 2 weeks off. And to be honest, I didn't ask. I just said, I sent a message on Sunday night, and I said, hey, everyone, just want to let you know, we're saying goodbye to Baxter in the morning. I'm going to be out a little while. I'll follow up in a couple days, but for now, I need to go focus and be with him. Thank you all. And I went back 2 weeks later. And I know it wasn't a good look, and I had a big team of people, but I didn't care in that moment. Like, nothing's bigger than Baxter, and nothing's bigger than him, saying goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I
Yeah.
think
Go ahead.
it's so interesting what you said around, like, having unlimited PTO, we have unlimited sick days at my company Directorie. And I got met with that in terms of the response when I started speaking nationally about my book and about hoping to inspire other employers to have pet bereavement leave as part of their compassionate policies. And, some said, well, what about those people who take advantage of it? And people don't want to work these days, and you have to separate work and personal life. And the answer for me was like, gosh, like, that's your culture. That is your own managerial style. That is your own, like, are there going to be people who want to take advantage of policies? Yes, but that's every single policy that you have. And I think if you are able to have a policy that in black and white says to someone, where they don't have to question, they don't have to know, is it okay? Will they understand? That says even a single day acknowledges that you have lost a family member. You are not okay. Somebody said, well, where does this end? What if they have like 5 dogs? Well, on it, all of 5 of them probably aren't going to pass away right at the same, right? You handle it as it comes. To be able to show up for your employees in such an emotional time could be really meaningful, and they will feel that for you. And then they're going to want to show up for you because you showed up for them. But there's also the data that supports it, right? Like, unmanaged grief costs American companies $200 billion every year. And I loved that you took the 2 weeks off, because the truth is, showing up to work, grieving, upset, not your full self, like the quality mistakes, the way you show up, I would be, there's no way I could be compassionate and show up at work as a leader.
No, it would have been, I was like numb for about 4 days.
Yeah.
I can barely remember those 4 days, to be honest. So I would have provided no value, and probably would have caused damage, more than any good. Well, you and I have talked about this a lot when we're not recording podcasts, just talking about benefits, how companies treat pet parents, things like that. So, let's talk about it, and I'm going to say something, because it wouldn't be an Adam Greenbaum podcast if I didn't say something inflammatory. But you and I were talking one day, and I started texting owners of veterinary hospitals, because those were my clients. So, do you offer pet bereavement leave? I ended up asking and getting answers back from 20. We went 0 for 20. 0 for 20 from veterinary clinics. Do you offer pet bereavement leave? Over 20. That was a little bit eye-opening for me, because if any business on this planet should understand that pain and what comes with that, it's a veterinary hospital above all else. Now, per usual, vet med, we have a good relationship. Sometimes I call you on shit. Sometimes you call me on stuff. Sorry. But like vet med, that's weird. That's odd. But I don't think this is not a vet med thing. This is whether you're a startup, I look at the climate, and I look at, it's really hard to hire. it's really hard to keep people, and it's really hard for people to find jobs. There's like we're in this weird world right now in the AI world, and I think when you distill it down and people go home, the difference between me choosing this job or this job could very well be something like pet benefits. So I want to talk. I have some questions for you that I'm going to ask. And look, at my company, we covered I think 75% of pet insurance, which was great. We obviously we had the unlimited PTO. So if you had a pet pass away, you didn't even have to tell us. It's like go grieve, go do what you want to do. Why do you think that still in 2025 we have hundreds of billions of dollars flowing into the pet industry and vet industry? Why are we still having this conversation in 2025? Why don't organizations care about pet parents? Yeah, I
Yeah.
said it like that.
No, I mean, honestly, I'm not sure that it's that they don't care as much as they don't. I think we're only now normalizing that our dogs get birthday parties, that our dogs are part of our family, that they're included in our family photos. Like, I think it's only become a newer thing today to really unapologetically love and celebrate our dogs. However, I do think as a society, it's hard to say we're not okay. It's hard, and we want everyone to be okay. And like, how fast can you get back to being okay? And so it's a tough subject to talk about. And this is why when I met you and we had all of our conversations, I was so proud of the work that we're doing together to raise awareness to say we have to be able to talk about the hard things. And I'm not surprised on the vet med side not having pet bereavement leave. Saw it even as I was looking for sponsors for my book signing, and they had said, "Oh my gosh, like no one's ever pointed this out. Like I just trusted that our manager would of course let our employee off if something were to happen." And that's where I like to step in to have conversations like this, because we don't want to leave it into the hands of a manager to hopefully know to say the right thing, to hopefully know to do the right thing, but to really put it into a policy and say, this is what we do when this happens, so that no one's ever met with, it's what you said earlier, not everybody agrees. And unless you've had an animal and you felt the love, do you really understand? Which is why diversity is so important. Having different perspectives at the table is so important. But even myself, like I was met with like, it's just a dog, like get another one, which you would never say to someone. And so, I think it's about having these types of conversations, about making it okay to talk about hard things and to be planning for that. As human beings, we plan for our funerals, we plan for life insurance, we plan way ahead of time, but it's like we just don't want to think about that with our animals. And we have to, as pet parents, and also as employers, we have to meet this new generation who's in our workforce, that families today do include animals.
Well, that's well said. And look, I created Love Baxter because it's not just, and I don't put everything on the veterinarians or the managers at companies. A lot of it falls on us as pet parents to be openly communicating. Now, everyone in our 450-person company was well aware that we were in the fight for our life for Baxter. I was keeping everyone up to date. The week before, when he got his, we were told, hey, he's healed, he beat this, and then the next day he collapsed. I mean, I sent an email to our exec team, and I sent an email to my direct team and just said, hey, Baxter just collapsed. I don't know what to do. I'm going to be out for the rest of the week. And this was on a Thursday. I said, I'll talk to you on Monday. And then Sunday night, I sent a lot of messages to let them know we're at the end here. But I do think it's on us as pet parents to communicate really well with managers and CEOs of companies and just say like, hey, I want to keep you in the loop here, because I'm really hopeful, but we're on a scary path right now, and we don't know where this is heading. So I will probably need some time off in a couple weeks. And by the way, sometimes, like in your and I's case, things seem okay, and then within a week they're gone, and it's like, okay, there was no planning for that. That's hard and that's tough. But I just think it comes down to openly communicating as an employee, even when it feels, and if you're at a company that you like, I assume you'll have the ability to talk to your manager, talk to HR, talk to the CEO, and just go to them and just say, this is what I'm going through, this is what we're working on. I want to be here, but just know that this is my kid, and this is really important. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to say that it's on us as pet parents to be our own advocates and to kind of set the scene. So if you do need a week off to recover, you've put yourself, your team, your company in a good position, and then the goodwill will come back. It goes both ways.
That's right. And then you're able to plan for those things by notifying your manager earlier. If there's critical projects that are happening in the next coming weeks, you're able to start to plan who's the safety net, who's your backup. And you're trying, right? You are a good employee. You're wanting to come in, you're wanting to do the right thing. And part of doing the right thing is making sure that you're able to step away to be with your family and that the work is continuing to move on, right? Like, that's also something I wrote about in my book, part five. And when I wrote my book, I was like, gosh, if I'm in the middle of grieving, I don't know that I would want to read an entire book. And so part five was just resources. And it was really centered around for pet parents, how do you communicate? What do I need from people today? Right. And then also for employers, like, how do you support your employees? Because I did find too, people were like, but what do you do? Like when a pet passes, like, do I check in? Do I send a text message? Like, is it the same? Like, there isn't a societal norm when our animals pass. Like, there isn't a funeral, there isn't an obituary. And I just say, just apply the same love that you would if that person lost a human that you would to an animal. So, even just a text message that says, like when somebody sent me a note and used Kingston's name and said, hey, I'm really sorry about Kingston. I remember when he was running around like a madman in the house. I know this is really hard for you and I'm just thinking about you. You don't even have to reply back. Those types of things meant everything. Getting flowers in the same way that you would if you lost a loved one that were sent here in honor of Kingston. My house smelled beautiful. Every time I saw them, it was acknowledgement and it was validation that other people knew I was really hurting and I wasn't doing okay, and that my son's life mattered and that they knew it mattered to me. And I think that's important too, around just not only communicating for yourself what you need, but if you yourself, if somebody is brave enough to say to you, I'm not okay, whatever the reason is, believe them. And then just put on your empathy hat to say, like, how could I support them? And it's not always gifts or money. It could just be a text that says, I'm thinking about you.
You know, we have a post on lovebaxter.com. It's literally 10 text message templates to send to someone. And I thought that was really important. I mean, the week Baxter was gone, we had more plants and flowers and cards and matcha show up at the house because everyone knows I love matcha. But it was really cool. But it's like what you said. The people that text and would just say like, God, I'm sitting here thinking about that day you brought Baxter over and he did this, and it was like, wow, you remembered that. That was really cool. I had people texting me photos that they took of him, photos I had never seen. We were all out. They took a picture. They didn't never shared it with me, and it was like, wow, there's this piece of his life that I never even knew was a thing that I have now got a glimpse into. So yeah, I mean, it's really that simple. But I still think, and I want to ask you this, like as a CEO, I still think that, people are nervous or they might feel weird to go to their manager, HR, or the CEO and say like, hey, I'm going through this. So what would you say to that if there's a pet parent watching this? Or conversely, if there's a head of HR watching this, and like what can they be doing to make people feel better and more comfortable about being open about this stuff?
I think it's recognizing if you're an employee at an organization, I mean, this is one of the hardest things you're ever going to go through is losing your animal. And so to talk to your employer, to talk to HR, to talk to your manager, not to be scared to bring it up, right? The worst they can say is, no, we're not doing anything. And then you have a choice, right, of what you're going to do in your own career and where you want to work and what culture you want to be a part of, but you tried. Because you might be surprised with them saying, we never thought about this, or let us figure this out. And then you've actually created some breathing room for yourself. That's one of the resources I had created, even was just here's an email you could send to HR to just even have the conversation. And now that there's websites like yours, Love Baxter, where there's like referenced things around why this matters, I think there's more conversation happening about it today. And then for HR, I think it's the whole if this is going to keep happening, we need our workforce to be working. We pay for results. We need to we have all these deliverables. And it's like, yeah, well, those aren't going to happen in the way that you're needing them to happen with somebody who is grieving. So wouldn't you rather create a safe space where your employees are communicating to you so you can actually plan for it? Because at any time, somebody could get in a car accident, somebody could get the flu, somebody, right? Like they're going to be out of work for something else. And here, they've actually proactively come to you to say, hey, this is happening to me. And they're still caring about the work. They're still caring about their deliverables. That matters. Like that really matters.
Yeah. And, look, if you're in HR, you're a founder out there watching this and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. Look, I bootstrapped a company and it was hard. And we were at the point, I remember when we had like 8 to 10 employees right before COVID. It's like we went on a streak of months where every day one person was out. And I remember thinking like, man, this unlimited PTO thing was so stupid. What's wrong with me? It's like, but you know what? We also built a company that wasn't reliable, wasn't reliant
Mhm.
on that. And if one or two
Yep.
people were out, we could survive the day. And sometimes I think it seems really worse. Like in the moment, you're like, oh my God, we're screwed. And it's like, okay, are we built to survive the day? Are we built to survive tomorrow? Can we do this? And again, that just comes with, if you have a good open door relationship as a founder or head of HR with your company and your employees, it'll go both ways, and you can plan for these things. It's just that simple.
It really is. I mean, I've had employees say to me the pet bereavement in our job descriptions online is the thing that told them, like, I want to come work for this company. They're really thinking about me as a human being. They're really caring about me in a different way, even if they don't see everything else, if they don't see the full culture. And now, what I always talk about is like, we just got on the Inc. 5000 list, second year in a row. That is
Dang,
like, yeah, that is
back to
triple
back. You're like
back to
LeBron.
back. Yeah, but for me, I'm like, see, it's possible. It is real. Like being on Inc. 5000 means you've had triple digit growth for 3 years in a row. So to do that back to back proves, I believe, that we can have high achieving teams, insane results, and still really care about our employees.
I mean, if you're watching this, you're hearing this from someone who is a back-to-back Inc. 5000 CEO saying this. So, to all my fellow startup founders out there who are grinding away, like, here's your proof. Yeah, don't make it harder in your head. And honestly, don't lose a good employee because you did not want to let them go take 4 or 5 days to clear their head after their pet died. I promise you, I am the least sensitive person I know. And I think my wife would agree. And I mean, I was destroyed look, we're going on in a couple days, it's 10 months. Still fairly destroyed 10 months later. But those first 2 weeks, that was bad. Now I obviously still brought a lot of value to the company. You wouldn't want to say, hey dude, you've been gone a couple of weeks, like get out of here. That would be nuts. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
tough.
I love
Let's
that. No,
let me answer the hard question.
yeah.
Here's the hard question. What is it gonna take, you HR person watching this, you founder watching this, hearing it from Erika Sinner, what is it gonna take to add this to your employee handbook and to advertise it in job posts, to write it in Slack? And before you answer, Erica, let me just tell you all what it actually takes as someone who's started and sold a couple companies. Number one, you go into the Google Doc where your employee handbook is under, leave, and you add 7 days pet loss, and you add it, and it takes 14 seconds to type that. And then you go into Slack and say, at here, hey, we've made an update to our employee handbook. We're now giving you 7 whatever days you want. Don't do less than 3. I mean, at least give people 3. 3 business days, 5 business days, 7 business days, whatever. We've added that. We love you. We know your pets are family. We thank you for your hard work, and we've got your back. And then you hit enter. And in about 45 seconds, you just made every employee with a pet at your company love you. So now that I've done the mean part of saying how it would take people 45 seconds, maybe you can be the more diplomatic in our little good cop, bad cop here and talk about what it would really take for companies to do better.
I think what you said, I mean, that is like if you're getting down to brass tacks, it is really that easy. I think part of what we have here in the United States is a lot of companies don't have bereavement leave at all. So, and I think it's a beautiful thing for me. because of Kingston, because of my love for my animal, that it's even just broadening the conversation to you should have this. Um, that maybe if it's not pet bereavement, it could be just a bereavement policy that says for the people, like, right, who's important to your life? Somebody's animal versus somebody's turtle. Turtle lives like 100 years, bird, whatever it is, right? It's not hard to do, and it's not hard to implement. It's not hard to train your managers. And I think it does take that. It's updating the policy, and then it's talking to the managers of how do you receive an employee who comes to you and says, this has happened to me. How do I plan for this? Which is part of any type of leadership training for planning for your time off, whether it's PTO, whether it's planned or unplanned. And what are the systems that we've put in place to safety net you being out of work? Because employees are going to be out of work for a lot of different reasons, but when you manage well, when you build a culture with intentionality and you show up for your employees and you tell them that you care about them, they will show up for you back. And you can really retain top talent that way. If it would be such a shame to lose an employee because you didn't show up for them in one of the hardest moments of their life, when it doesn't happen all of the time. And now you're going to have to backfill that position, which cost 3 to 4 times more than the salaried position than itself. So either way, you're going to have to deal with the implication of, or right, the result of not being there for that employee. And you have a real opportunity as an employer to show up with compassion and to really show up for a human being. It's what you said. I wrote about it in my book too. I've been through a lot of hard things in my life, a lot of really hard things. And I felt it was important to write about that because I wanted people to really understand I did not live a charmed life. I had a hard life. And I'm still saying losing Kingston was the hardest thing I've ever been through. It is gut wrenching and it will take you down.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't want to take this, I don't want to make this like a sad podcast. I think that, but
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have had long talks about it. The last memory I have of my father is him grabbing me by the neck and pushing my head into a wall. So, those are tough. But hearing the last bubble come out of Baxter's breath, out of his throat when he was in my arms, right upstairs from where I'm sitting right now, will forever be the worst moment of my life. And I've had a lot of bad moments, but that moment of feeling him be gone has stuck with me more than anything ever has, and it's tough. So you wrote Pets or Family. It's as simple as that, and I think that's like the best way to end this podcast is to talk about the book, talk about who it's for, and why it exists. So please tell us about it, tell us where to find it, and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah, so it's for 2 audiences. One, it's for anyone who's ever lost an animal or who is about to lose an animal. It's validation to say like the pain you feel is real because the bond is real, the love is real. There's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. This is going to hurt. And if you ever lost an animal, everything you felt, and even that moment when you have to euthanize and put your animal to sleep, like that is trauma. It is really hard to watch a life leave a body for a soul that you love so much. And then it's also for anyone who doesn't understand, who's like, I just don't understand how an animal can mean that much, or it can't possibly hurt as bad as a human being, or I just don't get it. Like there's been other things. That's where I've opened up and been really vulnerable and invited the reader into my life to say, here's all of the things. Here's where dogs have shown up for me throughout my life. And here's why it matters so much. And at the end, it's the resources around like text to send, things to send, with real data behind it around why it matters and the validity of it. You can find it on my website, but it's also on Love Baxter, which I'd love for anyone to go there and pick it up.
Yeah, that's why I started Love Baxter. It's because here I am. I know every veterinarian on this earth, and yet I felt like the communication around his health and the end of his life wasn't great. We don't have his ashes because of a little bit of miscommunication at the end. And I found myself searching for resources, searching for anything on this vast internet, and I found nothing. So, we went and we searched through 5 years of Google searches, 5 years of Reddit posts on the pet loss page on the subreddit, and found 187,000 keywords and questions that people were asking. And we are creating content around every question asked, the stuff that makes a lot of sense to everyone, and then the stuff I found myself searching for after Baxter passed away. So Yeah, I mean, and this is what it takes. I mean, I hate that that this amazing book and everything you're doing has to be born because we lost Kingston. I hate that Love Baxter has to exist without him, where he spent 12 years by my side, no matter what I did, right next to me where I'm sitting right now, and he can't be here to be part of it. It sucks. It's hard, and it's frustrating. So, but I do hope both Kingston and Baxter's memories can, help us become a world that is more pet parent focused, because that is the world we live in. Go search pet industry financials. You will see this is the world we live in now. People care about their pets. I can't think of another family member in your life outside of your spouse that sleeps in bed with you every night, that is next to you every night. Maybe children, if you've got human children. Eric and I, neither of us do. Yeah, I mean, I can promise you, for 12 and a half years outside of my work trips, he had to be touching me every night while he slept. And I still wake up at 3 a.m. sometimes and wonder, like, where's the guy? Where's the little gremlin under the covers, like tucked behind my knees? He's not there.
But that's why it's
So,
important. Like they're such a part of our lives, and I think Kingston and Baxter are looking down on us, very proud of us pet parents. And I think you're right. I think even when you have human kids, the goal is to get them to be self-sustaining, to be productive members of society, to chase their dreams, to live beautiful lives, right? But outside of your own human children, there's no other relationship. And even with own human children, there's still going to be conditional love back, right? Your human kids do not have to love you back, and it's not unconditional. With animals, it truly is pure. They are with you, they love you, and that is a different kind of love. And I've read poems where it says, like, that's why we allow animals into like sacred parts of our hearts, because they truly will love you forever, for the rest of their life. And so it's just a different experience and a different bond. And I just wanted to end by saying, Adam, thank you for creating Love Baxter, for doing everything that you did. I think, for me, I wrote my book, but the website is so easily accessible. It is at a click of on your phone, on the website, like on your computer, to find what you need. And what you've really built there is something to be really proud of. And I think it's gonna change a lot of lives as they go through their grief.
I appreciate that. Yeah, he, if I could go down to his favorite dog beach and build a 500-foot statue of him, I would do it. This is my version of the 500-foot statue, is just, to hope to educate the world on this. Because, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but it's true. It's, if a guy who owns his own company, who can afford tens of thousands of dollars of veterinary care, who knows every veterinarian on earth, can still have this many, roadblocks and issues at the end of a pet's life, I'd have to assume that a lot of people have it a lot worse. And I can tell you, the emails that we get hundreds of emails a week. They are so hard to read. I'm financially ruined, people say often, because no one really realizes the amount of money you spend. And by this is true for humans too. My father, who's in human insurance for years, my father-in-law has told me this. You basically spend like 80% of all the medical bills you ever spend on a human in like the final year of their life. It's the same for pets. In Baxter, we spent $30,000, a little bit more, over 6 months trying to save him. Not everyone can do that. So, I wanted to build a place where you can at least get answers. But most importantly, and I think this comes back to everything you and I are talking about, plan ahead on all of this. If you're sitting there with a 6 or 7-year-old dog right now thinking they're going to live to 15, Erika can be the first one to tell you she did not think she would be sitting there with an 8-year-old dog who wouldn't be here. That is just the harsh reality of it. I have a 15-year-old, almost 15 and a half, Sophie. She's on my hat here. I wear my hat all the time because I want her with me all the time. But and Baxter was 12 and a half. That is very, very, very lucky. I hit the lottery on that. There's no guarantees I'll ever have a pet that long ever again. So plan ahead, and never think that it's too soon. So what's I'm going to end it with this, and then we'll talk about where we can find everyone can find us online. If Kingston were here today and he was on this podcast, and in my game right now, he can talk, he can speak really good English. What would be his message for, for pet parents? What would be his message for business owners? What would Kingston's message be to everyone right now, as someone, as he was by your side doing everything you did? Like, what would his message be?
Wow, no one's ever asked me this. I think he was my strong, regal little guy. I think he would say, I loved you as much as you love me, if not more. And so it's worth it. And we should unapologetically love each other and like normalize this conversation. Like the world needs more love today. The world is heavy and animals bring you together. Like regardless of whatever side of the political fence that you are on, whatever, anything you put on in the news, everyone has an opinion, but love is love. And animals bring us together. It's how we bonded so quickly. I bond with a lot of people, strangers. As soon as you start talking about animals, you're pulling out photos, you're talking about stories. It's really beautiful.
I agree. Well, if you enjoy this conversation, check out lovebaxter.com. We are on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, TikTok, YouTube, where you're watching this. Be sure to subscribe, like it, share this with a friend. Send this to your manager. I'm not kidding. If you're a pet parent watching this, then send this to your manager, send this to head of HR, send this to your CEO and say, hey, can you watch this, please? Let us do the talking for you. And if you are watching this because someone sent it to you, hey, that person really cares about their pet, and they care enough at your company to send this to you. Go take the 45 seconds and add one line into your employee handbook, please. That's my final message. And Erika, can you let everyone know where they can find you online, including your awesome Sharpay Instagram page?
Yeah, my dogs have more friends than I do. They're on Instagram, crazy for pay. But I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, my website's erikasinner.org. And really reach out. If somebody did send this to you and you have questions, I think that's the other beautiful thing is Adam and I have committed and we're answering DMs and emails and things and with other business owners, like how exactly do you do this? I'm available. That's how important this is. And so please reach out if you have questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. If you're out there watching this, appreciate you taking the time. It means a lot. It means you're an educated pet parent. Really appreciate that. And I hope everyone has a great day.